Hello, it's Ben from Classy English, and today we're going to be talking about IELTS reading. So I'm going to give you 10 top tips to help you with your IELTS reading assessment. Tip number 1 is don't read too slow. This is important because you don't want to spend too long reading the paragraphs. What you want to be able to do is skim read. What this means is to only read the important parts. You want to get the key information and the bits of information that directly apply to the question you are answering. Tip number 2, don't spend too long on each question. This is important because you don't want to spend time answering easier questions which are worth less marks. The best thing to do is to prioritise your time as the questions do increase in difficulty. If you're struggling with a question and you're finding it hard to answer, don't just sit there trying to think. It's best just to move on and then come back to the question later on. You may find other questions easier and some harder. If you just sit there spending time trying to think of the answer, you're wasting key time you need to answer other questions. But remember not to spend too long on any question. Sometimes it is just better to guess because you won't have the opportunity to answer all of the questions. Tip number 3, don't spend a lot of time on the earlier questions. This is important because the earlier questions do tend to be a lot easier and they increase with difficulty. It's always best to allocate your time to spend more time on the harder questions. Tip number 4, leave enough time to transfer the answers. You may not be aware of this, but you're actually given an answer paper along with your question paper. The answer paper is what is marked by the examiner, so make sure you leave enough time to transfer the answers as you want to focus on your grammar and spelling, because as I mentioned, this is what is marked by the examiner. Tip number 5, highlight and underline. This is important because it can save you a lot of time, and time is very crucial when it comes to the IELTS exam. The benefit of underlining and highlighting is because then you can quickly locate the key bits of information in the paragraphs. This will help you when answering the questions. Tip number 6, spelling. This is quite obvious, but you should always remember when transferring the answers, you should always go back and double check your spelling. You can lose a lot of marks if you misspell some very basic words. Also, remember to check your grammar and punctuation and make sure you've used the correct tense. For example, you may have used past tense when you were meant to use present tense. Tip number 7, improve your reading with books. This is quite obvious as well, but you should always try and improve your reading, and the best way to do this is just to read books. Practicing reading will also help you when you're reading your paragraphs because you can skim read, and as I said previously, this is very important. You want to be able to read fast so you can absorb the key information and the parts which are going to help you answer the questions. Tip number 8, read the instructions properly. This is a common mistake that everyone can make. It's always important that you read the instructions carefully and make sure you have a full understanding of what the task is asking you to do. This is a serious error that people can make and it can cost you dearly. So always remember to read and make sure you fully understand before you attempt to answer the question. Tip number 9, learn synonyms. Synonyms are words which have the same or a very close meaning to another word. This will help you a lot when answering the questions because sometimes in the paragraphs they will use words that you're not familiar with, and you need to know as many synonyms as you can because you want to be able to fully understand the paragraph and what it is trying to tell you. Tip number 10. This is a very important tip, and it's just to relax. Remember to enjoy the moment and to have fun. Don't put too much pressure on yourself as this will be detrimental to your overall performance. Remember that your brain works so much better when you're relaxed and feeling confident. So just remember to keep practicing, and I wish you the best of luck with your IELTS exam. Thanks, my name's Ben from Classy English.